Lounge session helping you be a greater you. I'm your host, Dali Perez, and this lounge is designed to help middle and high school students prepare for life after school because failing to plan is planning to fail. And today we're going to talk about creating a business plan. Super important. We need to have a plan. And today we're going to learn about the power of having a business plan, even for small side hustles. A plan is super important. But before we start, we want to give a special thanks to the Career Launch Session sponsor, EXL, a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. If you want to learn more about EXL, go to www.exlservice.com. Thank you for the sponsorship. We were able to bring this lounge to you at no cost. But a little bit about us, we're L.O.V.E Youth. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization providing programs for youth. Our mission is to leverage the power of collaboration to uplift and empower youth and their families within our community. And before we kick off today's topic, we want to learn a little bit more about our panelists. So we're going to bring them now. And I want you guys to say who you are, what's your name, tell us a little bit about yourself, and why did you choose your career.
Hello, everyone. Arvind Mehta, based out of New Jersey. I've been in the industry for about 24 years now. Um, I've spent 14 years with the Excel, and then I did my own startup. I sold it in 3.5 years, came back and joined as a vice president and head of consulting services last year. Um, Before EXL, I've spent about a decade with some of the large IT organizations like Sapient, HCL, and Ericsson. That's a brief about myself.
Hi everyone. My name is Mayank. Professionally, I'm a chartered accountant. I am also based out of New Jersey. I completed my qualification way back in 2011, and then I worked with a regional firm back in India for 3 years in areas like accounts and tax, auditing and tax to be precise. Then I worked with another three companies back in India, starting to 2015, and I finally joined EXL in 2021. I've been with EXL for almost 4 years now, 4+ years now. I worked on a lot of digital transformation initiative engagements. Yeah, that's about me.
Awesome. And we have Hima. I don't know if you're here with us, you can hear us and you can share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hey, hi, Lali. Yes, I can hear you guys. Hi, everyone. This is Hema. I I'm an account manager at EXL. I came to United States for my master's back in 2014. I graduated here. I went to grad school. I graduated, and then I started working as a data analyst with JP Morgan Chase, and then spent some time working as a data analyst, and then I joined EXL. Ever since I joined with EXL, I've been focused on learning about automation trends and working our clients with solutioning for their business problems. I love what I do at EXL, and I love being able to adapt to different problem statements and different technologies and trends here at EXL. I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here and share what's important to our youth because it's definitely today's topic. Creating a business plan is important for any area of our life, right? It's not just a business, but any area needs a plan. So I want to start this topic by asking you, what is a business plan and why does it matter?
I'd say anything without planning most likely will lead you to failure. So that's probably why planning is extremely important, not just in business, but also, in your daily life. Be it, as an example, buying a house or buying a car. You need to plan for it. It's not just, you wake up one day and you walk into the showroom and you say, okay, here's I want to buy a BMW X7, and you bring it back home. I wish it was that easy. But planning is important for a couple of aspects, right? Number one, from a business standpoint, is what is that you're trying to achieve. Number two, is there a market need for this? Number three, do you have the capabilities which are aligned to that market need? Number four, do you have the right funds to execute on those business plans? Are you looking for sponsors, investors? Do you have the right team to execute on the business plan? So those are some of the things that you would or you should consider before you start doing anything. Similarly, as an example I took, when you buy a car, you need to make sure you have the right funds. Is this the right car for you? Do you need a 5-seater, 7-seater sports car? Those are all things that you would consider before making that purchase, and that process follows pretty much for anything that you do in your life. Very specifically, extremely important for a business that you're trying to set up or run.
In all agreement, just adding on to it, how I see a plan, probably, it's like a map for me. Probably, it just guides you what needs to be done the very next day. I think in business environment, it becomes more relevant for us. There is a lot of money, time of people, and a lot of things involved, and all of these are scarce resources which properly needs to be used. So probably without a business plan, I think Arvind rightly said, we are setting up ourselves to fail. So if we don't need to do that, we need to plan.
Just to add a couple of points to what Arvind and Mayank has just mentioned, sometimes it also helps you as a reality check, right? Because, we are all passionate about certain things and we don't know the amount of effort and the risk that is involved and the amount of capital that goes into setting up something. So I feel like, creating a plan and working towards a plan helps you realize um, how big of an effort it is or how small of an effort it is. So it also acts as a reality check, and also it will help you realize what your risk appetite is.
Absolutely, and you guys mentioned like check if you have the capabilities. What's that you want to achieve? What can you say? Because there's some people that say it doesn't matter. You figure it out in the way. You don't have to know it all, and that's kind of like true because we learn on the way. But what's the impact between if you do a plan versus if you don't? Make that plan and have that happen to you before personally. It could be like at your job where you've seen like this path where the plan was created and this path where the plan wasn't created, and it was more like that mentality of it doesn't matter, we figure it out in the way, let's just do it. What's your thought on that?
As we said earlier, right, the probability of failure is significantly higher when you say, we're going to figure it out, versus when you have detailed planning behind any business, or even any project that you're trying to complete in, whether at work or personal projects. The probability of success is significantly higher. um, I have seen, I mean, like you said, there might be situations where, for some of the projects, you might have to just learn on the fly, but it's very rare. And like I said, the probability of success just diminishes if without a business plan, at least in my opinion.
So Dali, just probably, we can think it like, let's suppose, we are all excited to travel at some place. We don't know actually where do we need to go. Now we just step out of our house, we go somewhere, we don't find anything, and we come back. Now, alternatively, we go somewhere, we find something, and we are happily returned. I think in today's environment, because of so much of resources that are already available, for instance, in the example I took, we can just do a Google map, or a Google, as to where are we heading to, what are the best spots available for travel and whatnot. So I would rather say, if we are planning, then the probability of succeeding just goes up by a lot of percentage. If we don't, then, rightly said, there is a lot of chances that we don't turn up, achieving what we intended to. So yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Is very important, no, what you're saying, and I want to mark the difference because we need to plan for everything, right? Whether it's a business, whether it's our job, whether it's our life, our relationships, we need to plan, right? And not necessarily the plan is going to go as we plan it, and that's okay. That's the part that we can figure out in the way. But can we talk a little bit about the difference, when we have, because some people, and I know you mentioned, Arvin, that you had like a startup and all that. Maybe you are in a job, but you also have a startup. But then the difference between that business plan, if you're an entrepreneur, or even in your job, you need to have a plan, right? Like a business plan within your job. So can we talk about a little bit those differences, like when we are creating a business plan that is for our business, or working on a business plan that is for our job, that not necessarily is a startup that we're doing.
Right. Um, so most of the elements would remain the same, right? So whether you're talking to a project manager who is responsible for executing a project, he still needs to understand some of the core elements of a business plan, right? First of all, what is the objective? Who's my audience? How many resources do I need? What's my budget looking like? What are the timelines? So a little bit different from a startup, but core things like budget, um, resourcing, staffing. How is my organizational structure going to look like? What are my success factors to achieve the desired outcomes? Those are in a job when you're executing a project. But at the same time, in the job, you might be a leader of a BU, and your job is to generate revenue, maintain profitability, which is kind of like you're running your own startup within a larger organization, right? Which is where you'll think about your location strategy. Hey, do I need to open new offices? What's my legal implication? What are the, are there any in-country requirements? Do I need to scale? Do I need to scale within the states? Do I need to scale outside of the country? How am I going to run my marketing around that? So those are things that are very much aligned with the startup. But now the difference in startup is you do need funding initially. So either you have deep pockets, number one. Number two, you have to be very confident on your either on your service or your product. And that's where I said initially, Dali, is you have to make sure that you're doing your market research very, very thoroughly, because your product or your service needs to align with the need of the market. If there is no need, then two ways to go about it: either you will fail, which is still a good learning in my mind, or you will slowly start pivoting to different services, or a modified version of your product, as you start to learn, as you go through the customer sessions, learn what the customers are saying, or some of your industry experts are saying, and then you start pivoting as you learn. But again, everything requires a lot of funding, which is hard to find, and that's been my experience with the startup. So for the startup specifically, I'd say a thorough business plan is extremely, extremely important, and so is for when you're a leader of a business within a larger organization. Again, the probability of success is what would drive a good business plan or a project plan.
So, will you mentioned something very, very important, which is market research. And I want to dive in a little bit into that, because for the teens that might be hearing this, they're like, what is that? What are you talking about? What does that mean? Right. And then we start, if you're going to do a startup, a business plan, we start with your passion, with your abilities. What can you do? And then, okay, is there anybody else that's doing it? Okay, what they're doing, where's the need, and all that. So can we dive a little bit into that? Like, if there's a teen that they're passionate about something, whatever that is, how can they start doing that market research, and what does that mean? So what would be the places that they need to be looking into it to know if they really have like a business that they can create?
I think Dali, now is the easiest time to kind of, find the relevant material for anything you are passionate about. I think all you need is curiosity and just be, asking questions by yourself. Go Google about things. We have AI, we have Perplexity to do a lot of research now. And I think I would say yes. The market research is all about, just hearing over the net, over the web, and then, kind of correlating it back with your common sense or logic, I would say. For instance, I am a CPA. I keep hearing a lot of CPA firms in US are kind of doing XYZ kind of a business. I can't go around in the market and vet it, but I can always go and Google it. I can always go and do a perplexity. I can always go and do a simple chat GPT, and I can speak to the leaders or my colleagues, and that's how you do a research. I mean, in my head, this is what research means.
Just to expand to what Mayank has just mentioned, Ali, I think um, one can start with doing research on their idea first. If there is anything that, something like that, if that is already existing, say I have an idea to build something, right? They can start with the research on a similar businesses that are out there, who, if I were to open it, who would be my prime competitors? Is there a need for this product? Is there any social relevance for this product? Am I solving any problem with my product? Who would be my target customers? Like, and build some sample personas. Like, say I want to target a certain demographic, or a certain audience, right? So, market research involves doing in-depth analysis on what the demographic is expecting, and doing more in-depth research on what their current feedback is on the existing players out there, on the competitors, and finding a right product fit with what they're expecting, and based on what the competitors are offering and all that. So market research usually involves all this, starting from finding if there is any opportunity for your area, for your idea, and then building on to the product development and marketing, target audience and all that.
Absolutely. I was talking to a friend recently. She's studying accounting, and she was mentioning that she's interested in diving into more like entrepreneurial and professionals accounting, and to finding those tax benefits that not everybody specializes in that. There's a lot of people that do taxes, but not a lot of them know what codes to put in. So that's a niche. So I was talking to her and say like, hey, I don't know a lot of people that specialize in that, and that's definitely a need for people that earn a lot of money. So that could be your niche, that could be your specialty. So that's what we're talking about, right? Like having that, knowing, okay, in my market, is there anybody that specializes in that? And in the area that we live, there's not a lot of people, so that's a good market. So it's seeking that, okay, what I want to do, who's doing it, and just go to Instagram, go to
Yep.
TikTok. I'm not gonna say Facebook because this generation doesn't use Facebook, right? I use Facebook, but they don't. So it will be Instagram, it will be TikTok, it will be maybe X, and searching, okay, who's doing what I think that's a great idea. Maybe someone is doing it and you can do something different, or nobody's doing it, right? And then starting from there. And one of you mentioned about, I think it was Arvin, about budget, right? And this is a very important part because sometimes you can have an idea and say maybe it's selling something. Well, I'll sell it for X, but then how much is going to cost you? Do you need to order from other country? Does it sell here? And all that kind of stuff that maybe they don't think about. So let's try to dive a little bit into that because, okay, we did our research. Now I know this is what I want to do. But part of the business plan, in a big part of the plan is the financial part. So how do we manage that part and how important it is, and what could be those steps that they need to take into consideration when they're doing that business plan?
Sure. Depend again. For the teens specifically, um, there are a lot of cost items that you need to consider, all the way from when you set up a business. There's registration fees, there's licenses, Most of the business today is done online. You need hardware, you need equipment. um, if you need a digital presence, you need a website, so you need to build it, right? You need to maintain it, you need to pay for the hosting fee. um, Depending on what you're doing, services versus product versus, selling, buying from one person, selling to other, you probably need space. You need inventory. How much inventory can you keep? Where are you going to keep it? So, do you have enough space? Do you need to rent for this space? How many people? Salaries, wages? Depending on the business, you need insurance. There's insurance cost. Every piece of software that you buy, except for the social media platforms, requires subscription. um, how are you going to manage your accounting? Obviously there's accounting fee. How are you going to market your product? So even on Instagram, for example, or X, when you want to boost your um, reels, or for example any of the posts, it costs money, right? So a lot of details go into it, all the way from registering your business to marketing to business to digital presence to reach outs. And I'd say the best way to um, make sure that you don't have cash flow issues is first test your ideas, like we said earlier. And the best feedback comes from customers. So if you have a basic idea, especially for the teens, run it past your friends, run it past your family in the neighborhood, to just get real time feedback from the customer. Oh, like you said, Dali, post it on Instagram, see how many visits or likes. Or I don't do Instagram, so I don't know how it works. um, but what's the traction coming from the general community, and then you start investing on it, rather than going using a big bang approach, um, and then you're going all in, unless you think it's a really really good idea. I've also seen people creating me too ideas, which is where, as an example, when Uber came in, it was an amazing idea, but Lyft quickly copied it, and still a successful company. So people do that too. I mean, your idea doesn't have to be an extremely unique idea, which is very rare to find these days. um, People are actually running out of ideas. Or you have a specific service, like you mentioned, the tax service was a good example. When I did my startup, I was doing cybersecurity services, which I know is a niche field. But if you understand, or you have expertise in one of those niche skills, whether it is website building or whatever it is, then that's how probably you might start socializing about your services on so many platforms out there, and see if that's getting traction and helping you generate some money, and then you slowly expand.
Absolutely. And you can have a niche within a niche because you were in cybersecurity, but it could be cybersecurity for banks, cybersecurity for schools, cybersecurity for you name it. And you can specialize within that thing that you're good at, right?
Yep.
Like I mentioned, the tax lady, she's going to do taxes, but then she's going to specialize. So she's not going to work with everybody. She's going to work with people that has certain kind of income and up, because she's going to specialize in those special codes for those kind of people that have a high income. So it's not just, oh, somebody's already doing it. What can I do different? What can I offer that nobody's offering within this market and this niche and all that? And sometimes creating a business plan, it could be hard, it could be overwhelming, it could be boring if you don't like, to think and sit down and do or all those Excel thingies and all that. So what can you say to the teens that could be listening, like, yeah, I know that's important, but that's a kind of boring, or I don't have a time for that. What can you say to them?
Look, I think 10 years ago, yes, it was boring. But now with Chat GPT, Perplexity, I mean, there's so many AI tools that can help you quickly draft the templates. They are readily available. But you will have to fill in the numbers. You know your business better than anybody else. So, if you're paying $50 for your internet connection and phone, ChatGPT is not going to fill that up for you. Those are the things that you're going to have to fill up. But again, that's important, as important as education. Going to school is hard. I have two teenagers, and I know when I wake them up early in the morning, it's very hard for them as well as for me. But that's the right foundation. So business plan is the foundation for your business. So if you don't have it, again, like I said, the probability of success will be extremely low.
I mean, they would definitely not know, where they are heading towards, what will they encounter in their way, and a lot of challenges can actually come if they don't have a business plan. You might not want to do it, but you will have to.
Just to add to what Arvind has mentioned about a lot of factors that are involved in budgeting, no matter how boring it is, Dali, it is very important to it is very important to create a plan for three scenarios, in my opinion, ranging from worst to the best, and see how your plan is looking like, or how your um, capital need for capital is looking like, and what would be your break even point for both the best and the worst scenarios, because a lot of people give up after setting it up because they're not able to pump in the capital that is needed, or they're not able to give it the time and energy that's needed. So I think it's very important, no matter how boring it is, to model for the different scenarios and make that assessment before jumping into something.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of important things that we've said today. You can start with the market research. If you have an idea, just go search. And something very good was that feedback. People is gonna tell you if that's good or not. So if you have Instagram, just do a poll. You can do a story and a poll, throw a question out there and see what's the response. Do a video, start throwing out content, because sometimes we complicate the things, right? Oh, we need a huge camera, we need this and we need that. You don't. You just start doing that research, and then from there develop all the business plan that you need. What's the budget? What research am I going to use? Who can I use? There's people that might be able to help you. So those are research that you have. People that's older than you, people that already have businesses. Hey, how did you did that? How can I do this? Who can I talk to? And sometimes we don't leverage, right, what we have around us, and that's very important. You don't have to have a lot of money, just need to have the idea, start with the research, and build up little by little. So that was awesome, 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 and I love it so much. So now I want to switch to something a little bit more fun, right? Not just business plan and Excel sheets and all that, but to know a little bit more about our panelists today. So we're gonna ask a couple questions to know a little bit about you, that we want to listen from each of you. So what's a hobby or a skill you've always wanted to learn but you haven't yet?
I think I have a simplest answer. I've been procrastinating for years now. I actually want to get excel at stock markets, and I have a lot of deep interest. I love, reading businesses. I want to kind of make money out of stock markets, but I have not done anything for it. So yeah, something probably, if I get some time, I would want to get into the details, get into technicals, and try and see how the stock market actually work. So probably for me, it's a little easy and on my head. Once I get some time, I'll do that.
For me, it's skydiving. I've been trying to do it for more than a couple of years, but I don't think my kids and my family allow it just because it's too dangerous. But I will one day.
What about you, Dima?
You know what, Arvind? I have done it when I was, I think, 21 or 22.
I should
And
have
the
done it when
person
I
that
was
was
a
in
kid,
my,
but
yeah, and the
no
person that
liabilities
was in
back
my,
then.
if you ask me, probably I wouldn't do it at this age. So I understand why your family is not allowing you. For me, I think it's dancing. I always wanted to learn dancing, but I feel like I'm a very bad dancer, so I'm just scared to attempt learning to dance. Um, yeah, probably that's something that I've been thinking about, but not been courageous enough.
That's awesome. For me, it will be learning to play piano. That's something that I've always liked to do. I do have a piano at home. My kids are learning to play piano, and then I'm like, I should do it too. So that's there. I'm gonna do it someday. But yeah, That will be for me. So the next question will be, what's your favorite season and why?
I would
Favorites.
say for sure summers, and I would probably say, everybody in the US would love summers. I definitely don't like cold because you don't get to go out, do anything, any activity. So probably summers are the best time. At least Saturdays and Sundays you're not at your house. So yeah, I would say that.
For me, it's spring. I just love flowers. It's it's probably one of the most prettiest season, at least in my personal opinion. So, and then obviously, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's the perfect weather to go out.
Spring is my favorite too. I love plants. I have lots of indoor plants, and I like the fall colors. But when you just see the trees after the fall has happened and after the leaves are out, it just I feel so sad, and I always wait for spring to come back. So spring is my favorite. And I think apart from seasonal changes, Christmas season is my favorite because there is happy mood everywhere. There's vibe, there is celebration, the people meeting families, going out on vacations. It's my favorite ever since I moved to US.
Yeah, so I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm from a tropical island. I love the summer. I love the hot, the beaches and all that. But I do love the fall because when it's too hot, I don't enjoy it that much. So I am between. I love summer, but I do love fall because it's not that hot, it's not that cold. It's like that in between that we can go out and then we can enjoy a great day. And it's not like I don't have to be in blankets and I don't have to be sweaty. So I love both of those. Yeah, so those are my two favorite.
I love Puerto Rico. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful out
Me too. I was gonna say that it's amazing. I loved it when I went there. And there's something about the avocados in Puerto Rico. They are just different.
Mm,
They're so delicious.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
So recently, my parents-in-law they came and during the summer, and they brought some avocados in their suitcase from my husband's grandparent tree that he has in the backyard. They were amazing. I can tell you.
Yeah.
That was so funny because they opened the suitcase and all these avocados. We were very happy because of
there. I think it's the only place that has an active rainforest in the country, if I'm
that.
not wrong.
Mm.
So I did go there. There's freshwater swimming, if you like
Yeah,
it.
El
Yeah.
Yunque is the name of that
Uh,
Yes.
rainforest.
oh.
Yes, El Yunque. Yeah, I have some quite story there. One time I was like 20 years ago. We were with I was a cheerleader back then when I was in college. So we were like kind of like a field trip, and we were taking pictures in our bad, and then it was how do we call this? Like a water came down. Like we didn't notice it was raining at the top. So that's
Oh,
very important when you're in these kind of places. You gotta see if it's raining on top. You gotta leave because water may
Oh.
come down. So it was a whole adventure because everybody was okay. That was a good part. But then we needed to start walking throughout the forest all the way to the top in order to come down again. So it was a little bit scary, but a good thing that we can share this story, right? Nothing
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful place. Yes, I love
And
my
Amazing. Yeah.
island.
Undoubtedly.
Yes, yes. So before we go, my last question would be: would you rather be able to fly or to be invisible?
ah, like I said, I want to do skydiving, so I would probably rather fly.
But I would surely be invisible, so that I don't have to work or do anything. At least
Yeah.
no house chores or nothing.
He's the sneaky guy, so he would love to be invisible. I know.
Hmm.
uh, I really can't decide. Probably I would be invisible to silently observe certain situations and
Yeah, I would love to fly, definitely, because I can go to any country like that. You know, let me travel. Yeah, let me go to Puerto Rico, for instance. Yeah, so definitely I would love to fly. So thank you so much to all of you for being here, for taking the time today to be part of our Korean Lounge sessions. And thank you for joining us. We hope that today's conversation has given you insight and clarity on making plans for life after high school. And special thanks to the Career Lounge session sponsor EXL, a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. If you want to learn more about EXL, go to exlservice.com. Thank you to their sponsorship, we're able to bring this lounge to you at no cost. We look forward to seeing you at the next Career Lounge sessions. And don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share these sessions and all future sessions with your friends. Thank you for joining us.